Everyone thinks that this transition, this enlightenment to the fifth dimension is going to be some kind of catastrophic, huge phenomenon. And we believe this because we've been sold this Hollywood vision. The rivers will split, mountains will fall into the ocean, giant earthquakes, fire. It's kind of what we've been sold by the people who run Hollywood. And if you know anything about the spiritual battle, the person who's in charge of Hollywood is what you refer to as the devil or the fallen angel. And he hides out in all different forms. Sometimes he'd hide out, let's say, in the form of Bill Gates. Sometimes he would hide out in the form of George Soros. Sometimes he would hide out in the form of, President Bush. If you know anything about these fallen angels, they can exist in their own realm, but not in a physical body. When God banished the fallen angel and his friends, as we call the devil, I don't even like calling him the devil because it just gives him too much power. When he was banished down to this earth, he was banished without a physical body. Yes, they had physical bodies at the time when they were messing around with the other, I forgot the name of it. I can hear it, but it's so hard. Nephrons or something like that. At that time, a long time ago, he had a physical body. However, I believe he was stripped of that physical body due to bad behavior when he was exiled to this third dimensional earth plane. Now you need to understand something. He knew he had a million years or a billion years. He was aware that he was banished down here for what we look at as an eternity. It's just forever. But for him, there is a day when it's going to stop. For the time that the fallen angels have been here, they have been searching for ways to leave this earth and get back to their heavenly body. And don't kid yourself, we think that they're just like ignorant angels flying around with wings. They are highly intelligent beings. I mean, consider if you are an angel of God, you are the elite group of God. My understanding is that when you're up in this realm of God, and I have personally experienced this myself, so I can tell you from experience what it is. You are connected as the one, as the whole. You are not separate. You are everything, right? My example for you is that when I was doing hypnosis, and I still do hypnosis, I had a lot of opportunities to trade places. And so on this one particular hypnotic experience, going back into my past life, I went all the way up, past this earth realm, past the heavenly realm, past the realm, of spirits and guardian angels, and I went all the way up to that unified God connection where we all are one. And let me tell you, it felt like every single bit of my body was just so expansive. And yet I still knew who I was. I still knew this is, my personality, Kristina. But I was part of everything. And every single orifice of my mind, body, and soul was filled with complete love, light, and joy. And I didn't want to leave. The hypnotherapist at the time was trying to get me to come back down from that place. And I was like, no, this feels so good. But understanding, it felt so good because you are part of everything. You don't have individual thought, you don't have free will, and you don't have the right to choose. You are always part of God, so much immense part of God that you choose what is always in God's best interest, because he are and you and down here on earth, we have such a limited language to describe God, the energy of God. Regardless, you are one. It is one giant ball of good, positive, loving energy. And there are few people who have experienced this. People who have had out-of-body experiences, people who have come back, people who have probably gone on a DMT trip. You understand it, you felt it. So imagine you're that person, and maybe you've been connected with God for eons, billions of years. And I speak this way because I have compassion for the devil, and you probably wonder how you can. And I will explain how. So he's up there bad energy, and he's like, you know what, I am tired of always doing everything that God wants to do. I want to feel individual. I want to be myself. I want to run the show. I want to have the power to make choices. And I know this is a simple concept, because everyone down here on earth has had that opportunity where they felt that power to be in charge and to make choices. And there are those of us who are able to stay in that power place and be in charge and make choices for others, always with their best interest in mind and heart. And that is very hard to do. So the devil did not want to do it that way. They wanted to be their father. They wanted to be that God. And so they were exiled to earth. The devil himself, fallen angel himself, is the leader of all the other fallen angels. Well, they're very, very intelligent. They are the ones that have been able to bring all this technology, all of these advancements, all the good and bad, down to this earth plane. My idea is that an idea shows up and it's a ball of energy. It's just a thought. It's an energy, and it comes down to the earth and it lands. And if it lands in the right hands, then that idea is used for good. And if it lands in the wrong hands, it can be used for evil and destruction. And as we've seen, a lot of these ideas, they have fallen into the hands of this group of people who absolutely fall victim to the fallen angels and their mindset. And these fallen angels have been so good at convincing these humans, and let's face it, most humans are sheep. Most humans are not searching themselves. A lot of us are, but most of us are not. And so he's convinced this group of humans who are not in any way connected with a God energy. They're just kind of moving around here, just, tell me which way to go. He convinced them that they need to be in fear, that there is someone always going to threaten their life, their well-being. And so in order to not be taken advantage of or harmed in any way, you should fight. You should always be on the defense. And those are the entities right now that are running all of our countries. All of them. Every single one of them. So if you could imagine leaving the earth and looking down on it, and if you had this magic power to see, you would see behind every single leader in government and their entourage is an evil fallen angel. Okay, so with that influence is so strong. If you don't have the God force in your heart, and you don't have that, the God energy that you have in your heart allows you discernment. It allows you the time to say, wait a second, I hear what you're saying. It looks pretty real to me, but I'm going to step back and I'm going to really ask myself inside if this is true or not. Because I realize, especially now, that you can do magic with movies and CGI, and you can voice over people and make it sound like they said something they didn't say. And there's so much manipulation and lies in this world that the only way you can know the truth in this is to step back and say, is this true or not? And just go into that small space of your heart where there are brain tissues, and it's medically proven, look it up, and you ask that part of your heart, and it'll tell you yes or no. So easy. And if you ask it in the name of God, and it can be whatever name you see God as, Allah, Krishna, Buddha, Ra, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the name is. It's all the same source energy. Then you're going to get the answers you need. That is the greatest thing about being down here, is you have free will. You can believe whatever you want. If you want to believe the truth, and you want to know what is true in the name of the God energy, then you have to go within inside in your heart, and you have to figure this information out for yourself. And there's levels of truth. And with these levels of truth, God gives you just enough for you to digest at a time when you're ready to handle it. So here we are. We're at a time right now where there's going to be some transitioning. 2012, when I was doing a lot of hypnosis, past life regression, I was doing this in Oahu, with some of the clients that I had the opportunity to do past life regression with. And 90% of my clients that came and did hypnosis with me were from other planets. And that was something for me to get used to, because, you know, when you're trying to take someone back in a past life and they're describing things that look so alien to you, you realize that this universe is so much bigger than we could ever even conceive. One of the messages that was loud and clear that came back in 2012 by a woman when we went back to her last life, which is in Lemuria, was that everyone made the choice in their heart to ascend. The ascension process is happening now. Something happened 2012 on some day. I cannot remember the details of this, and it doesn't matter really. We all were asked, would you like to ascend to the fifth dimension? And everyone said yes. So right now, I need you to understand what this means. When we ascend to the fifth dimension, it could look just like this world we live in right now, but you'll see the evil fall away. Greed doesn't exist. Monetary value doesn't exist. Jealousy doesn't exist. Negativity doesn't exist. So all of these things no longer will be able to exist in the fifth dimensional world. There is the idea that it could look just like this world right now. I could be sitting here right now and I look outside and it's the fifth dimensional world, and we're working as a community and growing food and laughing and loving and doing wonderful things, teaching our children outside. It could look like that. It could very well appear to look like something different. And I want you to imagine now that you're sitting on Earth and maybe you were one of the people that isn't quite ready to ascend, and you have made the choice to stay back. They were all there and then all of a sudden they were all gone. And nobody knows, no bones, nothing. They ascended in some magic way. And so that's the other possibility of what this ascension can look like. There are people like myself who have chosen to remain in between the vacillation of the third and fifth dimension, if that makes any sense to you, to be the gateway for the people to cross it over, to be the one who will stay here and tend to Mother Earth until it's time for us to ascend. And I used to pray to God so much. I asked, how can these people wait so long? Why are they fighting so hard when it's so close to the end? God said, they have to face what they did. And so imagine that you've been caught up in this drug, this power drug, this illusion that allowed you to think that molesting a child, the pedophilia, the child trafficking, the killing, murdering, that it was okay and normal and this was acceptable. So once you wake up out of this trance that you've been in, and you have to look at yourself and face the things you did, and the only way you can do that is by feeling the pain of the other people you inflicted this tragedy onto, that's some tough shit. And most people cannot handle that. It's hard enough for sometimes many of us to just say we're sorry for just hurting someone's feelings. Imagine if you were a child molester or a murderer, and then you've got to go back and face all of those spirits, those children and those people, and you have to feel what they felt, and you have to endure that same pain. So it's going to take these elitists a bit of time to do that, because if they were prepared to do this, they would have already been doing it already, because they knew this time was coming. 2010, the messages were out, the information was there. 2012, it was decided, you made the choice, and now here we are in 2020. My idea is that the fallen angels will stay in the third dimensional realm as it exists here for eternity, and they'll just be stuck, and they'll never ever reach their heavenly body, which they've been searching and trying to get to for so long. And if you don't believe me, do some research on CERN, the atom collider. That will explain to you how smart these fallen angels are and how desperate they are to bust a hole in this reality so they can get back to the heavenly body. But it's not possible. The energy that exiled them to Earth, is so much more expansive, intelligent than anything we could create on this third dimensional plane. The other thing I've asked is, well, what would it look like if your the devil, your fallen angel, came back to you and asked for forgiveness? Couldn't he just do that? Couldn't he just come back to you? And I guess the message that I'm getting is that the amount of really awful things that he has done, he and the fallen angels have done, and just how absolutely evil it is, and how we can't even wrap our head around how evil it is. For him to reflect on that and to look upon himself and ask for forgiveness would literally self-combustion. He would literally self-combust. I hope I'm saying that right. And he would no longer exist in the realm which gave him the power to be separate and make decisions, which ironically would put that entity, that being, back into the place where he was in the beginning, where he was completely connected to everything and had to follow all the decisions that God was making, because God makes decisions for the good of all. A lot of this conversation I'm having right now that I'm recording is very channeled, and that's why I like to chime in with some of my personal things that have happened, so it doesn't sound too hard to understand, because pure channeled information from a higher source, the language we speak is not complex enough to describe everything that is happening in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 13th dimension. And there's quite a lot of them. I mean, you have to bust through all these dimensional realities, which other people would call other planets or alien planets or whatever. You have to bust through all of that to finally get to the source God energy. Now, if you want more information about this, I encourage you to read Dolores Cannon's book, especially The 3 Waves of Volunteers. And then there are so many other books Dolores Cannon did. Let me explain to you how amazing these books are. She does past life regression, and Dolores Cannon, who is now passed, she was my teacher for Quantum Healing Hypnosis 1 and Level 2. And I'm so glad I had a chance to train with her 2 times before she moved on to the next realm, or before she passed on. I'm so grateful. She reminded me of a grandmother. She was just awesome. What she would do in her sessions is record what the client was saying. And she would take these recordings and just type out word for word everything that was said. And some of the information is so profound that she would literally have to look it up and research it. How did this person know this date, this time, this information? So it's very cool stuff. It really shows you that everyone here has had more than one life. There are very few people, we call them the indigo child, the star child, who've come here and it's been one life only. No one is going to just die and then they cease to exist. I know that's a big concept that some religions really believe, but it's just a concept that they use to control you. If you know that you're going to live another life and that this body is just the vessel you're in while you're writing out this experience on this earth during this time, then a lot of the fear-based information that is constantly thrown at you just completely goes away. So I encourage you to read her books and research Dolores Cannon. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to start doing hypnosis sessions again. They do take 5 to 7 hours. I'm not ready yet because I know when it happens, it's going to be a lot of energy moving, especially now where we're at on this earth. For me, most of the time, it's always good. I've had a couple of occasions where I have been with some demonically controlled humans. And you have to be really strong, and you just can't let them, take you off your ground when you're doing the hypnosis. So it's some really powerful stuff. It blows my mind, the experiences I've had doing this hypnotic work. And so I need to be ready. And I have been preparing this year to be more ready to do this kind of work for people as needed and work with people on just a word of mouth basis.
ke aku ke kai mua na nui la nui ke aloha e hi I pohi nei me ke ala o kali